So the class. So I've given you my beginning pep talk, tough love, whatever you want to call it. Kind of what this class is about. I've introduced myself. You've introduced yourselves. So we should be up and running. So the rest of the class, maybe another 45 minutes or so, we'll be talking about what's going to be expected of you, okay? And how this class is laid out and what to expect. So again, when you walk out of here, I want you to know what you're going to expect and what you're going to do. Now, before I get to the class, I always feel obligated to do this. Over the next couple of weeks, as you take your classes, right, you're going to see the requirements, hopefully, of what's going to be expected of you in each of those classes, okay? And you should be able to hopefully deduce how much work that is going to entail. So I don't think this class has a lot of work. It has a lot of daily work, which means I expect you to put in things daily. It might be 20 minutes or half hour, but it's daily, okay? It's not a class that's conducive. You know, you don't have chapters and books to read. You don't have lab sim chapters to go through. None of that stuff. You don't have coding projects. By a raise of hands, how many people are programmers in here? I think it was like most of the class, wasn't it? Or web development, you know, code. Yeah, it was. I think I only heard one networking. How many people are networking? It's just like 2 or 3 of you. I thought most of you. So this is a class of coding nerds that I'm going to have to deal with and get used. No, I love it. Trust me. If I took basic and all that stuff in college, and if programming would be what it was now, with online and cloud compute, all that stuff, I would have been definitely into programming. It's just that doing basic was basically like doing an Excel macro. You know, I mean, it was like, okay, tell the computer to smile. I mean, it just like it was like, oh, this isn't fun, you know. But like, if I would have gotten into it later on it, so I'm kind of a regretful wannabe coder in the past. But again, I know I don't take my advice. I could go and do it if I wanted to and all that stuff, but not there yet. So, anyways. Although I know pretty much. I know I've done WordPress, PHP. I've dabbled around with Python. You know, I've done obviously Visual Basic and stuff like that. But that's about my long and short of it. All right, so I got sidetracked already. So we're going to talk about what makes up this course and how this course is laid out. And like I said, one thing you're going to want to do as you look at your semester in these first couple of weeks is gauge how much of, how many credits are you taking and how much is going to be required of you week in and week out for the next 15 or 16 weeks, right? You should also ask yourself, do you anticipate anything happening in the next 15 or 16 weeks in your life, whatever that may be, that would prevent you from succeeding in the classes that you're taking, right? I mean, do you have an event in your life? Is somebody getting married? Are you having a child? Whatever it may be, right? Are you buying a new car? Are you getting rid of a car? Are you moving? Are you whatever it may be? You should ask yourself over the next 15 or 16 weeks, is there anything I know about now that might prevent me from succeeding in what I'm trying to do this semester, okay? The reason I tell all my classes this the first week, it's kind of a group counseling effort, is that the majority of our students who fail, who don't succeed, who don't accomplish their goals, right? What they do is they bite off more than they can chew a semester. And then what happens, they either start getting used, they start withdrawing, and then you get in this crazy loop at METC where you get on academic probation, all this crazy loop that happens, financial aid, all that kind of stuff. And all of a sudden, you're done. You're like, I can't do this because you feel overwhelmed and you're in the weeds. And it's like, how do I get out of this? And no joking aside, your college career, and for the majority of you who are not capable of just being full-time students, and we have very far and few between people who are living at home, right, or being totally supported by their parents or family or whatever it may be, who can basically just go to school full-time and not worry about anything else. The 99.9% of our students do not have that luxury. Like like a lot of people that choose to go to a 4-year institution. I mean, it's not my nephew works. He has to make money and pay for things, but he doesn't have all that pressure on him. My sister is there, and I mean, there's a safety net basically for him, and a lot of people don't have that. Okay, and I get that, and I understand that. But one of the reasons people fail, the biggest reason, is most of the times you bite off more than you could chew. So it's your job this semester, this beginning of the semester, is to figure out when you get all your class syllabi and you get the requirements and you meet your teachers and instructors and you see what's going to be required of you, you ask yourself, am I taking the appropriate amount of credits and classes, and am I going to be able to succeed and accomplish this? You have to ask yourself that question. And if you think, it's going to be a little bit too much, drop a class. Okay? Hopefully not this class, but drop a class. Because a lot of our students, either they take all their gen eds and they try to color. The other thing is if you're new here, interspersing your gen eds with your technical classes is always the best way to go. Meaning you should just, now again, people are in different situations. I'm saying if you're brand spanking new, you're a new student, you've never been to college before, interspersing your gen eds with your technical classes is the way to go. I mean, in the end, we know why students schedule their classes. It's convenience, right? It's when the class is, where it is, all that kind of stuff. But you want to mix. Okay? If you haven't done that, there's nothing you can do about it. But what I'm saying is taking 12 credits, where 6 credits are your technical classes and 6 credits are your gen eds, that's a much different program load than what taking 12 credits of all technical classes, right? That's a much different load. Okay? So again, I usually think that most students, the majority of our students, to succeed are at 9 or 12 credits. I rarely find somebody that can take 15 and live any kind of life or work or anything like that. I don't think I could do it, if it was demanded of me. But what I'm asking you to do is self-evaluate and make those decisions, okay? Especially after you find out the workload, right? What's going to be required. Because remember, for every 3 credit class, MATC basically says that outside of class, you're spending how much time?
I think it's 3 to 4 per class time.
Yeah, and I would say 3 to 6. And I think they say 6 hours, which that's probably a little bit of overkill for most people. But I would definitely say 3 or 3 to 4, right? So if you're taking 9 credits, that means you're expected to be putting in, 12 hours, 12 to 15 hours outside of class, right? If you're working full-time at 40 hours a week, right? Now you add 15 hours. Now you're at 45 hours a week. And let's say you're in class. Now you're in class at least another 10 hours a week, right? You're now at a 40, 55, 65-hour work week, right? Which is, that's a lot. And that's the way you should think about your life, right? And not think about it as, this is the amount of work. So at 65 hours a week, if you're sleeping, some of you youngins might be able to get by with 6 hours sleep. That's not much time to play Fortnite or Rainbow Six or watch Twitch or.
You gotta have priorities.
I know, but what I'm saying, you get my point, right? Again, I'm being general, but you get my point. So, again, your career starting at MATC and finishing at MATC is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? If you ever go talk to a personal trainer at a gym, right? They get inundated with gym memberships when? Now, right? Now you go to the gym, gyms are all full, people have all these great intentions, they're there, they're, working out, all this kind of stuff. And then you come back in June or even April and they're empty again. And a personal trainer will tell you, consistency is the key, right? If you have to fall back to 1 day a week, but you're still working out 1 day a week, and then if you can get back to 2 or 3, but once you make that decision, I'm not going anymore, right? Now you're back to square one. And it didn't matter if you said to yourself, January 1st, I'm going to be at the gym 5 days a week, right? And I'm going to be there working out 5 days a week. I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to do that. That lasts about a week. right? Okay, I'm going to go 3 days a week. Well, okay, now I'm down to, and then eventually you quit. And that's what I see with students, right? All of you are in a position where an extra year or an extra 2 years, maybe, is not going to matter in the long haul. It's just not. Okay? Even at my age, if I was fired tomorrow, right? And I've tried to tell this to people, some of our most successful students are people in their 40s and 50s who want to make a life change and do something new. We had a homicide detective who was in our accelerated program, who was a homicide detective, a police officer from Milwaukee County for 30 years. He came back, took our accelerated program before he knew he was going to retire. He's now working at NM as a security analyst. He's like maybe a little younger than me, maybe like 53. He was a cop since he was 18. And now he's working at NM as a security analyst. Right? So my point here is some little bit of group counseling to get you to understand that, this is the time to think about these things. I hope to see everybody sitting in the same chairs they are now in May, me giving you an A and you going along your merry way and having accomplished your goals this semester in your future career. That's my hope. That's what I want to see. That's why I'm sitting here, right? That's why I get up in the morning and come here, okay? But you got to meet me. You got to commit, okay? All right, so the first thing to notice is, if people have seen the Blackboard site already, is that I am using a new version of Blackboard. So you'll get to know me as kind of an MATC rabble-rouser. I use oftentimes frequently the term, I might get fired, which is true. It's actually really true. And I've been a proponent at MATC to improve a ton of stuff that we're trying to improve. So this will probably be the last semester we'll have this assignment, but I've been a total critic of our website and our digital presence, okay? And we now have a new dean of online learning. Hopefully things will get better. We do have a new website coming, and I'm very hopeful. The company that we hired was awesome. I was a part of that process of getting the consulting company that we're working with. Again, I never say things will be better because MATC could get in the way. But if they listen to the consultant, hopefully things will get better. Registration is still a joke here. There's little info online. I could go on and on and on, right? So I'm a critic, big critic. So we are usually in Blackboard, we are currently using, if you have other Blackboard sites, we're using the legacy Blackboard system. So the Blackboard system, the old Blackboard system, it's all cloud-based. Our Blackboard system is all cloud-based. But the old one is not even being supported anymore, meaning the old version, I know they went to the new menu, but the old actual course version is not even being supported anymore by Blackboard. Blackboard Ultra, which I'm using in this class, is the version that is currently Blackboard's newest version, okay? And I've advocated, we're going to move to it as a college, I think, next spring. So my guess, I think, one of the big problems and one of my pet peeves with anybody is that in an institution like this, you'd be surprised at how many instructors are afraid of what? Change. And that grinds me to the core of people who don't like change. Okay.
The only thing that's constant is change.
Yes, exactly. Love that. I'll start using that. That's a great phrase. Yes, exactly. Right. And so there's a lot of internal politics that go about changing. I personally I think there are actually even better LMSs out there, but the idea to change the actual LMS, like go to something else, is like they don't even entertain that thought. So I've been pushing to use this. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. Is it modern? Yes. Is it more responsive? Yes. Is it more intuitive? Once you get used to it, I believe it is more intuitive, right? At first, is it going to be more intuitive? Probably not, because you're not used to it. But once you get used to it, it becomes more intuitive. So when you look at the courses now, basically the main navigation, instead of being on the side like it usually is, and yours is gonna look different than mine. So if I go into student preview, yours looks like this. And so what you're gonna see is that the old Blackboard was more driven by a menu here. The new Blackboard is driven by this, right? So here we have my home page. Here we have a calendar. I don't have any assignments yet, but you'll see, I'll show you next week when we do an assignment. There's actually due dates. You'll be able to see all the due dates. There is a discussion board. So we don't really, we're in an in-person class. So usually the discussion board isn't utilized that much because we're meeting in person. You'll have your grade book, okay, which you don't see right now as being populated, but you'll see as you see the assignments being added. And you'll see this in the syllabus. And then there's a messaging platform, so viewing messages. Announcements have taken on a little of not as much of a thing. I'm kind of playing with things as we go through. So for you guys, again, we meet, so it's not that big of a deal. For online, I use announcements and messages to disseminate the information. The other cool thing is that you can connect your Google Drive to it, and we are going to be living in Google Drive, okay? So we're going to be living in Google Drive, so you can attach your GMATC account. Everything you do in this class is going to be done in Google Docs, not Word, okay? And I'm not going to wait for this to happen, but you're going to be able to see all that stuff. There are no books or institutional tools, so there's nothing there. There's a collaborate session where I take attendance, the course description, which again is, it's just there, and then view everyone in your course. So I'm just going to get back out of the student preview, but that's what you see. And basically the main sections on here are they're much more Web 2.0, for lack of a better term, maybe Web 3.0. So what you're going to see is this is the content, and they're all typically linked to documents. This is where our assignments will be. So you'll notice that there are going to be 8 assignments, and this is where you'll submit. We'll talk more about this next week. Projects. This is a project-driven class. You'll see that this is not available to you yet, but you'll see it when we talk about it and make it available. So for now, really what we're concerned about is the link for syllabus and required work and contact information. And I'm going to start off with contact information. Okay. So contacting me. Now, again, we're in person, right? So one of the best times to contact me is when? During class. If you have questions about anything that would benefit the class, obviously. That's one of the benefits of being in an in-person class. But you also can talk to me when? Before and after class. So this is another reason why, and I've told my dean this, I've told the provost knows this. President, I think, even knows this. Office hours. So if you'll notice, and I don't know how long, sometimes I have to list office hours, and I do on my sheet that I hand in, and I list office hours basically before and after class. But you'll notice I don't list any formal office hours. And again, like I said, when I say I could get fired, this is probably one of the reasons I could get fired. Office hours were designed basically for students who are living where? On a 4-year campus, right? You're living on campus. Are we a college that people live on campus? No. Most of you, when you get done with class today, what are you going to go do? You might have another class, maybe in the afternoon, maybe, right? So you might have another class at 1, that might be. But a lot of you will do what? Go where? Home, work. A lot of you will go to work, right? How many people are going to work today sometime? Yeah, some of you go to work, right? Maybe you have another class. My point is that office hours were created by when they're created by whom? So if I create office hours, who am I creating them for? Am I looking at times that are convenient for whom? Me, right? I'm not saying, oh, I'm going to hold office hours on uh, Monday night, at 8 when you're done working, so you can come see me. Again, nobody would come see me anyways. But my point is they're antiquated. They're an antiquated system that go back to this idea of a four-year college, being on campus, whatnot. I remember when I was in graduate school and school, I remember there were lines waiting to see a professor. Professor had office hours for 2 hours. You'd wait in line, right? So once again, you were wasting all this time. Maybe you were reading your book or whatever. And come that end of that office hour, that professor would do what? Close the door. That was it. You were the next person in line. You didn't see him. Go talk to a TA or come back next time. That doesn't work anymore. Especially doesn't work in our environment, right? So my philosophy on contacting me is I make myself available as much as I can. Okay. So obviously email is a great way to get a hold of me. And choosing email is an appropriate way of communicating when you want to communicate with me with something fairly a little bit more complex, right? Ask a question. Again, most questions should be asked in here because they can advance the purpose of everybody in class. But if you have a question or if you're going to be absent, email me or text me. So I give you email addresses. Obviously, using my Stannis AJ is the best one. I mean, I check my email. I live on notifications, right? So if you email me, I'm going to know it. I mean, just depends on whenever. I mean, if I'm sitting down watching TV, again, oftentimes students' questions happen on weekends, and I'm available. Even I haven't traveled much with our elderly dog, but we have places in Door County and up north, and nothing ever changes for me. I'm still contactable. Instant message, right? So you can instant message me. I have a Facebook office group that goes to a group on Facebook. Not many people have used it, but if you wanted to, if Facebook was your primary platform, you could text message me. This is my Google Voice number. But then I also give you my cell phone. So this number is my cell phone number. Okay. So if you call or text, and I don't call because if you call me, am I going to answer the phone? No. I won't. Okay. But if you wanted to talk to me or you wanted to call me, and I tell this to everybody, what are you going to do first? Text me. If you decide to text me, though, what else do you have to do? If you send me a regular text, you got to tell me your name and what class you're in, right? So you can't just say, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, who is this? I have no clue. Okay. So you have to be aware of the medium that you're using to address. Again, I give you my Google Twitter. You're going to be able to, once we get Twitter up and running, you're going to be able to DM me in Twitter, all that kind of stuff. I live on notifications. Facebook Messenger, I think they changed that now, and I probably should remove it. But I thought Facebook changed it. In the old days, you could connect with somebody on Messenger and not be their friend on Facebook. I believe no, actually, I still think that's the case. I think what's different now is that you have to have a profile on Facebook in order to use Messenger. In the old days, you could just use Messenger and not even have a profile on Facebook. So you should, if you wanted to, you just open up Messenger, put your camera on that, and you'd add me you wouldn't friend me on Facebook. You would add me as a contact in Messenger. And if you use Messenger a lot, the advantage of that is what? If you message me in Messenger, I know what? Your name, right? Rather than just an SMS text where I'm only seeing a phone number. So again, I pride myself on being available and being available to you. I look at my life like in 15 or 16 week increments, right? And so this next 16 weeks, my job is to help you succeed. And that's the way I live my life. So I don't I don't work like where come Friday, I'm disconnected and I don't check anything until Monday morning. It's not the way I work. I know some people do. I heard there was a horror story that happened this semester where a faculty member didn't do something that they're supposed to do for their certification, and they couldn't come back because they didn't check their email before they left, or they stopped checking their email at the end of the semester. I just don't know how people live like that. I mean, I know there's people who like say, "Oh, you have to disconnect." I just don't work that way. It's more stressful for me to disconnect and come back to something than it is just to stay connected. And the other big realization that you often have, and I think you would have this same realization in a workplace environment, when you make yourself accessible and you respond as being accessible, usually you get bombarded less. Especially because people then know that if something is wrong or happening, they don't test you. They know they can get a hold of you, right? They just don't test you. Like, I mean, I know students work this way. Like, I know instructors who don't make them, and then they test them, and they become more of a pain because they're testing they're testing their accessibility. Okay. I will always be here before class, and I would always be willing to stay after class. Okay. So I typically try to get here, depending on traffic, by about 8:15 or so. Again, I'm always usually here by 8:30, so I'm always here early. If you want to talk to me after, I'm after. If you want to meet or contact me or call me or whatever it is, I always say, let's just do what professionals do and set up a time to either talk or meet, right? And that's what, in the real world, that's how things work. They don't work by slapping something on and say, I'm on my throne. These are the only hours you can come and see me. That's not the way it works. All right. And again, it's really worked for me. It's totally against what MATC says, right? It's totally against. Like, I mean, like they don't understand that. Like I worked for the last 4 weeks. I think I did an interview for our AON program on New Year's Eve day. I spent like 2 hours on the phone interviewing a candidate. And I know a lot of instructors just disconnect. That's just not me. And I don't think it's the real world anymore either. I just don't think it's the real world. Good companies will tell you, okay, if you're going on vacation, stay away, right? Don't answer your email, all that. But that's different. That if I was going on a vacation this semester, that would be a different story. But I'm not. I'm working. Okay. So my contact information available. And then we go to the syllabus. So again, I'm not going to go through this word by word. It's something you should read and look at. So I'm not, again, I encourage you to look at it, read it. Oh, I didn't change this. This has to be changed. Yes. So I don't have any of this. I forgot about this. So you guys, your assignments will always be due at 8 a.m. on Tuesdays, and night class, I have a night class on Thursdays. This is the great thing about Google Docs, right? So if you're looking at my syllabus now, you're seeing this change happening in real time.
I love the cloud.
Yep. I forgot to change that. So your assignments will always be due at 8 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Okay. So anything that's ever due in this class, that's when it's going to be due. Okay. Why 8 a.m.? I don't want you coming in here and doing it. I want you to get it done. Hopefully you're submitting it yesterday, whatever. But I don't want you coming here and trying to like scramble or do things if you didn't get it in. So 8 a.m. on Tuesdays, an hour before class starts. All right. And then I'm going to, again, I'm not going to, again, it's your responsibility to kind of look at this. It's usually all the same MATC stuff that's in here, collaboration, and this is all stuff I'll talk about. But I'm not going to sit here and read the syllabus for you. What I did do then is I created an additional document, which is probably more succinct and easier to understand, of what actually is going to be required in this class, okay? The work that is required. And like I said, this class is about investing in yourself, about you putting in the time and effort to accomplish your goals and succeed in a career in IT. All right. So there are going to be 8 assignments throughout the semester. Okay. Assignments, 8 of them. So how long is the semester? Let's say 15 weeks. It's not even an assignment every week. Okay. Obviously, we don't have an assignment this week. Any reading or anything like that is going to be provided as online content. Okay. So I will be posting it on stuff that I want you to look at or read or resources on stuff. Some stuff will be included in the assignments. You guys are in person, so often the big part of this class is being here. For the online students, it's going to be watching this content week in and week out, which again they have to do. And I'm gonna, I scold them, and I can't really I can keep track of total views, but I really can't keep track of individual watching. But it's part of the class. Like I said, if you ever miss class, I will have recorded it, so you can email me and I will send you a link to the recording. But again, you decided to take the in-person class, so that's not a substitute for coming for class, right? You made the decision to be here and take this class. And I do think there's an advantage to, at this point in time, to being in an in-person class, okay? All right. So there's going to be 8 assignments worth 40% of your grade. And then there are going to be 2 projects, okay? This is what separates this class probably from a lot of the other classes that you've taken, especially in the IT field. There's going to be an individual project that's worth 35% of your grade, which includes a presentation at the end of the class, okay? So you're going to present. And then there is a team project, okay, that's worth 15%, which again will come later on, okay? Now here's the key, and then attendance is 10%. So attendance is always that kind of, oh, you're at a B plus, you came to class all the time, now you're at an A minus, right? And that's really what it's about. This class though is either usually people get A's or they fail. I give out very few B's and C's and D's. It's usually U's and A's because it's about doing. Projects and working on projects is a different mentality, right, than just having like weekly assignments or tests. There are no tests or quizzes or anything like that in here, okay? It's about doing. Now, here's the key, is those 8 assignments contribute to your individual project, okay? You got that? So by doing the assignments, you have already started fulfilling some of the requirements for your individual project. So you can think about the assignments as a way to kickstart all the kind of things that will go into your individual project. Okay? So, if you don't do all the assignments, but hand in an individual project, you really haven't done all the individual project. You get what I'm saying? If you hand in all the assignments and don't do an individual project, well, then you're not getting the rest of the individual project. And I will tell you this, it's not possible to pass this class without handing in and completing an individual project. Okay, you will not pass this class. Because once you don't hand any individual project, I don't give you any reward. I don't give you any credit for the team project because my figure is you haven't done anything. Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now, if you it's possible to miss an assignment or 2, which again I don't know why you would do, but it's possible, and still hand an individual project. I'm not sure why you would do it that way. I've done, but that's where I maybe give out my one at a time, B minus, C pluses, right? Maybe you missed 2 assignments and you kind of recovered on the individual project, right? But that's still hard. Once you start missing like 3 or 4 assignments and handing in an individual project, you haven't really fulfilled the individual project. It's nothing to really worry about right now. I'm kind of setting your mindset. The other thing is that when you look at a grading rubric and you look at the percentage of grade that is part of this class, where is the emphasis placed on? Individual project and assignments, right? That is what? 75% of your grade, right? Or wait. Yeah, I'm bad at math. 75%. With 25% being attendance and team project. So completing the assignments and doing your individual project, at 75%, you can get a what? C. Okay. Now, again, that means, you kind of see that the team project is going to be something you should all do too. And I give credit as teams, not as individuals, to the team project. But you can kind of see that that's where the importance is. And I'll never get it. I'll never understand students, why they'll blow off assignments, why they'll do this. The other thing, even though when you read through my syllabus, I have to obligatory tell you that I'm people who've had me before know this about me. I don't want anything late. But I'd rather have something late than never. Okay? And usually what happens in Blackboard is there's usually a week leeway where I'm grading like a week later. And your grade then won't turn to a 0 until usually a week or two later. Okay? And you're always better handing in something late than never and getting some credit. Okay? Now, again, if you get it in, to be frankly honest with you, let's say you had a busy week, you did your homework, but you forgot to submit it. You come in, you forget, and you submit it today at 3:00. Am I going to dock you for being late? No, I'm not that way. Okay. I mean, this is a mutual relationship, right? I mean, I can tell right away people who are like abusing and people who are, legitimately legit. Like, I had a rough week. Can I get it in on Wednesday? I'm not a hard ass. I'm just not like that, right? But again, if you're coming to me every week, and I had a hard week, and guess what? What'll eventually happen is you won't hand stuff in. I mean, this is not like rocket science. I usually know by the third or fourth week of this class of who's going to do perfectly fine and well and get A's, and people who are going to have problems. And it's not having problems because they can't do the work. It's having problems because they choose not to do the work in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. What can I do? But I understand. I totally get it. If you have to let me know. Like if you had a rough week or something happened in your life, the faster and sooner you come to me and explain to me, hopefully the faster and sooner we can figure out what we can do about that. Okay? I get that. I understand a lot of you are juggling a lot of different things, and I'm willing to help. Okay? And meet you halfway. But one of the frustrating things is, and I get students, you'll sit through the whole class and you'll disappear 4 weeks out, and I'll have no clue where you went, what happened. May have been something real, may have been something not real. I don't know. But I can work with you. Okay? I do not like giving out U's. I do not. I mean, I see people even on the list of this class, not people sitting in here, but an individual who's taken this class like 3 times. Like, what the heck? If you're taking this class 3 times, how are you finishing a Windows Server class? Right? Because, man, that's a lot harder than this class. So doing, creating, exploring, critical thinking. I mean, in reality, there's nothing. I'm never going to say, like, this class is not like you're wrong, right? Not like a math class. 2 + 2 = 4. You put 5. Well, 5, you're wrong, right? And I have to mark you wrong. How you do your resume and whatever you come up with your resume, will I be able to say, oh, yeah, this resume gets a 93? Because am I going to do that? What do I know what the difference between a 93 and an 85 resume is? I don't grade them. I give you credit for doing the best because in reality, your resume and you putting together a good resume, does it have a hill of beans of anything to do with me? Do I really care? I mean, I care, but do I really care? No, it's not my resume. And if I can't get you to care about doing the best resume that you can do for yourself, then what? What am I going to do? You want to create a piece of crap and use that? All right, have fun. Go ahead. I'm going to provide you with all the ammunition, all the framework, all that to do what your best resume is. But that's going to hopefully be the best resume for whom? You. Not me, not your partner, not another student, not, whatever. And again, when we talk about resumes later on in the course, do I have enough chutzpah to know what the perfect resume is? Do I know what the perfect resume is? No. And nobody knows what the perfect resume is. Okay? That's the reality. But I'll talk about the ability to get other people to look at your resume. And one way to create a good resume is getting input from a lot of different people. Right? And then you taking ownership and saying, this resume represents me and how I want to be represented. Now, I'll give you a lot of good ideas like skills-based and functional versus chronological, and I'll do all of that. I know when things are bad, right? Like when they look wonky, first of all, a spelling error on a resume, right? Is that factually bad? Having a spelling error on your resume?
Still get judged for it.
Yes, it's factually bad. I can tell you, you do not want to have spelling errors on your resume. Okay? Because that'll get you thrown into the bin, regardless. So I can tell you that. But I'll hedge and go back and forth on different types of things. Because in the end, this is your decision, not mine. It's your life. It's your goals. Your choice. Your career. Wherever you want to be. It's not about me. I want to help you get there. And I'll do everything in my power to help you get there. But in the end, it's up to you. And I can't say that enough. I really can't. And it bugs me because you've already made this decision to do this. So you're already, what? 10 steps ahead of whom? Everyone else. The people that are sitting in a job, you're going to hear me. Oh, let's bring back coal. Who here wants to be a coal miner?
Does it pay well?
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, why do you want to? Why? It's gone. It's not coming back. Right? I mean, all these things that have been displaced. And I'll talk about this, but just think about how things were even 20 years ago or 30 years ago compared to now. These. Right? Right? Anybody remember, or if you want to go back on YouTube and watch the rollout of the first iPhone? Go back and search for articles. What did people say? Nobody's ever going to do that. Nobody's ever going to carry a device like that. I mean, the first iPhone did suck, right? I mean, it did. It didn't have 3G. It was not a device that was perfect technically, right? But what it did is it changed what? The perception, right? Of what a smartphone could be. I mean, and it changed the world. It literally changed the world. Literally, it changed the world. I mean, I had a bag phone in my car back in the day. I mean, I had cell phones, but the smartphone changed the world. In how much time? 10 years, right? Wasn't it just the 10-year anniversary of the iPhone, I think? 10 years. 10 years. 10 years. And it changed. So just think about what might be in 10 years from now. Again, I mean, I can't explain, and when I just we'll talk more about this next week, but I'm going to end on this. Change and the ability to change and the ability to accept and anticipate change is such a huge gift if you can get it. It's such a huge gift. I don't know what the future is going to be about, but I do know that eventually autonomous cars are going to be it. I know that. I know there's a lot of forces saying no now, but I do know that the advantage of autonomous cars is going to be it. I do believe like truck drive. I mean, those radiology jobs, right? Those jobs are all going to be gone. Okay. Factories now, you hear about Foxconn, you hear about these things, Amazon warehouses, whatever you want to talk about, automation, robots, right? But those robots and automation and autonomous cars, they're not going to need drivers anymore, and they're not going to need people on a line putting parts together. They're going to need what?
People to fix the road.
People to fix, people to communicate, people to program, people to code, people to this. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. I did coal, right? And this just bothers me for so many reasons. Like, seriously, if there are people that really want to dig coal, I say this: go dig coal, pull the coal out. Somebody at night, go put all the coal back in, have them go and dig all the coal back out, and just pay them their coal wages, if that's what they want to do. If they do not want to go and update their skills, and they don't have to become coders, they don't have to become programmers, they don't have to do any of that. It's just anything else, right? They could do it. So like I said, you're already ahead of the curve. You all have already made this decision. And there are a ton of people, and you probably have friends and family and all these people who bemoan and blah, I'm stuck in this crappy job, shitty job, I hate my work, I hate this. Well, do something about it.
There's two concepts, right? The bad news is you're where you're at because of decisions you make. The
Right.
good news is you can change your mind.
Wow, you got them all.
I gotta be good for something.
Yeah, I love them. Yeah, and that's like on a nutshell. I mean, that's it. And so like I said, looking at all your faces today, you're already made the tough choice. You've already probably sacrificed something, whatever that may be, money, time, whatever it is. You've done that already, and you just got to commit and keep doing it and anticipate that road ahead, right? It's not rocket science. It really isn't. And if you become a good programmer or a good networking person, those skills are going to be in demand. And again, I'll show you this next week. Are going to be in demand for a long time coming. Things may change, right? You might be using Python today, and maybe Python XL comes out in 5 years, and that's something you got to learn and whatever. But you already have the base knowledge. And it's just so important to get that and understand that and being accepting to pushing yourself. We're going to do presentations, and I have people, I can't, I hate doing it. So what? Do it. Get over it. This is a safe environment, or will be a safe environment to do this. Oh, I don't like blogging. I don't like writing. Well, this is your chance to try it and do it. And you're forced to in a way because it's part of the class, but it's also a way to say, hey, maybe I could do this. Or maybe I do like doing tutorials online, videos, or podcasts. Or maybe I do. Maybe I do. Maybe I could do this. Right? And that's what this class is about. And if you come in and you close your mind and you think, I get a lot of this. Oh, I'm not very open. I'm not very social. I don't like putting myself out there. what? You think you're going to get a job in this day and age? Those jobs don't exist anymore. They just don't. I mean, I know programming people have this idea that, oh, I might just be able to lock myself in a dark room for 10 hours a day and code, and that's what I really love doing. Well, if you go work for a corporation or a company, I mean, again, if you go ahead and design your own apps or whatever, that's okay, fine. But even then, you're working with it in a team. You're collaborating, right? You're not working by yourself. Windows. Anybody know how many lines of code Windows is? I think it's like about 23 million or something, 19 to 23 million lines of code. Do you think that there is any one individual that knows every single line of code in Windows? No, they don't know. It's all done by teams. I mean, eventually it's all put together, but it's all teams. And certain teams probably have a very good understanding of how this works and that works. Other teams don't really care. Online gaming, right? What makes a good online game? What makes a good online FPS or shooter? What underlying thing makes it good?
It's not paid for. Paid
Well, okay, there's no loot boxes, right? True. Good point. No loot boxes. But what really makes it good? Netcode. Yep. I mean, it's the online experience, right? That people are looking at. Now, again, are there other people who are artists, right? Graphic designers, the other coders, coding the environment, the game, all of that. But do you think they care about the netcode? Probably not. I think the netcode people care about, how God of, whatever. What's the God of War's name? Although that wasn't even a multiplayer game, but whatever. What some World of Warcraft boss looks like. You think they care? No. They just want to make sure that the latency, right? And delay. And a good game will always have latency. It's just the fact that they disguise it so that you don't know it, right? So my point here is that all of these things we're going to talk about for the next 15 weeks, even though you might think, well, okay, this doesn't have to do with it does. It's developing these skills, this open mind, this ability to critically think, the ability to step outside your comfort zone, the ability to follow directions, the ability to learn how to communicate, the ability to open yourself up so that you can be found and be sourceable online, so that you're not always looking, but people are finding you. Right? How to go about presenting yourself, how people make decisions based on first appearances and all this kind of stuff, right? I mean, I'll talk about this later on in the semester, but I've grown my hair out over the last year and 3 months, and I can show you pictures where I have very, very short hair, right? I've had a beard for a fairly long time. One thing, and I should write about this, and some of it is kind of dismissive because I can't believe how the view of me from other people, even people who knew me a long time, changes with just longer hair. It's really kind of amazing to me. It's actually very shocking, and I mean I don't mean to politicize or anything. So I can't imagine what gender differences or racial differences or all these kind of things are viewed. But and people who've known me, I mean, I swear, I mean, I had buzz cuts for a lot of times, and it's weird then going out in public and being with people and how you're treated differently just because of my hair. And when we talk about first impressions and all that, it just astounds me. And so over the last 6 months, I've really gotten in tune with that. Again, I keep on thinking if I get fired tomorrow, my hair goes because I couldn't go to job interviews because you're automatically thought of as this type of person having longer hair. And the real reason I grew out my hair? I went to a party about what was last year, a year ago, and it was a party where all these old high school people. It was 100 of my class and the class below me, and I looked around and all my contemporaries like 99.9% of them had no hair. And I said to myself, I have like one asset on my body, and that's probably my hair. And so I'm just going to grow it out. I don't have many other assets, right? And my wife puts up with it. So I decided to grow out my hair. That's the reason. There's no other reason than that, to make so that when the next party happens, I get to go and all these baldies get to be jealous of me having hair at 55 years old. So it's really just kind of a stick it to them kind of idea. I mean, it's like base. It's totally base. It's not like, oh yeah, this, that, or the other thing. And, So that's my point, and that's what I hope you guys will. I think this is a fun, enjoyable class. I'm looking forward to getting to know you. I'm looking forward to helping you, and I think we can have a fun and productive semester. And hopefully, I'll get the majority of you to buy in, and all of you will be able to accomplish the goals that you set out for yourself. Questions? Any questions? So next week we